Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NYSUT, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NYSUT is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nysut.org.
Hi, I'm Ashli Dreher. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Classroom. We're here today with Mary Howard. Mary is a 6th grade teacher at Veronica Connor Middle School, ELA, and Social Studies in the Grand Island Central School District. Welcome, Mary. Thanks for joining us.
Really happy to be here. This is exciting.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up becoming a teacher? Why did you want to become a teacher?
Teaching was sort of an indirect path for me. I actually stayed home and raised my children first before discovering teaching. So I've only been in it for about 15 years. And it was sort of that creative draw that brought me to education. Just, knowing it's the perfect outlet for creativity and knowing that you can inspire and mold young children's lives. And so that's sort of how I got to where I am.
Yeah, and you use a lot of technology in your classroom. Tell us a little bit about, tell our viewers, how did you get involved with using technology in the classroom? And how do you kind of, if they're interested in using technology in the classroom, what might be a way that they could embark on a technology adventure?
I often say if you are going to be a user of technology, you really have to be fearless. There's always often this, I don't know how to do it, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm going to break something or make a mistake. Mm-hmm. And we're really dealing with a generation of digital natives. They know how to use technology, and so you just kind of have to go with them on the journey and not be afraid to make mistakes and not be afraid, that something is going to go wrong. Because quite honestly, something is going to go wrong. That's just sort of how it is with technology. But it's that ultimate way of reaching today's students, being able to, whether you're using QR codes or iPads or Chromebooks or any type of, sort of engaging website, that's the platform that they're accustomed to, and that's the platform that engages them the most. So be fearless, dive right in and give it a try.
Yeah. All right, so you've been teaching for about how many years now?
About 15.
About 15. Have you noticed any changes from when you started till now? Have you seen any changes in students or in maybe in the school district that you work in?
I worry at times. I think the days of sage on the stage, the teachers in the front of the room, are changing. I don't think we're going to be able to keep students engaged and compelled to learn if we continue to talk at them. I think we're definitely at a point where the learning needs to take place in front of them. Whether or not that's on a digital device, that learning has to come through inquiry. It has to come through critical thinking rather than just kind of speaking to them and hoping they absorb what it is that we're sharing. So I think that's the biggest change that I've seen in the past 15 years is we really have to change how we're teaching.
Now, I actually had the opportunity to visit your classroom when you were a finalist for the 2018 New York State Teacher of the Year Award, and what an interesting lesson. You did a breakout EDU lesson, so the students actually had a locked box that they were trying to open. Tell our audience a little bit about what that lesson was and what students had to do, because I think that this is something that I know at least at the Orleans Niagara Teacher Center, I'm on the policy board there, and we have several of these kits, these locked box kits that you can borrow and check out from the Teacher Center and be able to use them in your classroom. So tell our viewers a little bit about what that is and how it's just so engaging for the students.
Yeah, they get really, really excited when they know what we're going to do, some sort of escape room. So the concept is simply like an escape room that we see in our communities, that where you go in and you're faced with some sort of scenario. Maybe you're, in the Titanic, or maybe you have to get out of a jail cell or something like that. So you're given a scenario, and you have to solve a series of puzzles in order to escape from the escape room. But in the classroom, you really can't escape the classroom. So they've brought it in so it's a box, and you have to break into the box instead of escaping from a room. And in the box, I usually put some sort of incentive for the students, whether it's, candy or, bookmarks or something like that. And so the puzzles align with whatever curriculum topic we're studying. So I think the time you came in, we were talking about, I think it was Rome, but I actually can't remember because I've done several of them throughout the course of the year. So they'll be asked questions, given puzzles related to the topic, and they have to work with partners and work with friends to solve the puzzle. And what you saw when you were there too was an interesting dynamic, because the room it splits into little factions, and you might have 3 or 4 students working on one puzzle and another set of students working on another, trying to break open another lock, because there are usually about 7 or 8 different puzzles that have to be solved in order to break into the main box. And so for the teacher, it's pretty magnificent, because you stand back and you sort of watch it all progress, and you watch the learning and the critical thinking and the sharing and the collaborative nature of the whole concept, and it's really pretty incredible.
It is. It's neat to watch students so excited about what they're learning and that they're actually reviewing content at the same time. So that was really cool. It was just cool. It was cool. And you can do it at any grade level, really. And they have some lockbox scenarios already made up that come with the boxes that you can use for students at the lower elementary level. So you're a middle school teacher, but teachers in the elementary level, there's plenty of materials out there for the lock boxes as well to use. So tell us a little bit about, you were a finalist for New York State Teacher of the Year for this year. Tell us a little bit about the process and what that entailed.
It's a very involved process, and it all starts with being nominated through colleagues and obtaining support through the people that you're working with, whether it's your superintendent, your principal, your colleagues. And a lot of the process is an incredible process of reflection. You think to yourself, when in your career, once you're established, do you have that opportunity to look back and say, here's what I've done, here's my philosophy, here's sort of how my outlook on education in general. And so for me personally, I enjoyed that part of it the most, because I was able to sort of sit down and say, who am I as a teacher? What are my goals as a teacher? What is my my platform? What do I really believe in? And it was that opportunity to kind of say, tech really is my thing. I'm very passionate about it, and I think it's very important to education and very important to the future of education. So all those components of filling out the survey about yourself and writing a reflection piece and writing a philosophy piece, at the end it was 23 pages of reflection on my career to date. And then, of course, the whole interview process, where you're interviewed by, pillars of education in the state, and you're sitting there in front of them, and you have to say, who are you as an educator? It's a pretty intense process, but really marvelous.
So it starts out with you're writing about your teaching, and you're writing about your philosophy, but then you also, there's an observation piece where we come in, we look at the lesson, and it's using a almost clinical observation model. And then there's also an interview in Albany. So you have 12 people at a table that you're speaking in front of, and you also give a little speech at the end too about your message as Teacher of the Year. So I think that it's quite a comprehensive process, everything from the interview in Albany to the speech that you give to observing a lesson. So it's not just what's on paper, but it's interesting. We like to come out and see that you really are the real deal. You really are an outstanding teacher, and you certainly were. And you also can speak and deliver a speech, and so you'll be recognized in Albany this year as a finalist for New York State Teacher of the Year. And I'm very excited. I'm on the Grand Island School Board, so we have finalists that we'll be able to recognize at a board meeting as well. So that's exciting.
Every building in every district in the state has people who are role models in some way, who should be recognized. We need to recognize teachers, but we also need teachers to step up and to volunteer to be leaders in their building, in their community, or on the state level, to be the person that the state leaders or the national leaders will turn to and say, what do you think about education? And that's really been a surprising role, and it's been a really rewarding one. Every state teacher of the year I've ever met is very humbled by it. We all know we're not the best teacher, but we all take very seriously the opportunity to be the voice for the thousands of teachers who often feel rather voiceless. And that becomes our job. So I would encourage every teacher in every school in the state to spend some time and think about best practice. Look around, nominate someone for the State Teacher of the Year. Go through the process. Get selected or don't get selected, but you'll grow. You'll come out the other end a better teacher for it.
It all goes along together from the beginning of my journey to where I am now. That my district is not just an urban district, and my students are not just urban students, and I am not just a teacher. We are all people with potential, and if you believe in yourself, and you spread that to your students, that is the message I wish to share. And by being Teacher of the Year, I get to share with them that all it took was a little belief here, and then a little belief there, and then a little belief there, and each little step along the way got me to where I am. And now I've had all these amazing adventures, and I grew up in the same circumstances they did. I am no different from they are, and I am no different from the teachers who are all out there right now teaching their hearts out, working diligently, trying so hard to do what's best for their kids. They are all not just teachers. They're amazing educators, and they deserve the accolades and awards that come along with any distinction, but most importantly, the process of reflecting and realizing what a great educator you are. It's totally worth it.
One of the most overwhelming parts of being named Teacher of the Year was the flood of student response that came after I was publicly named. And it became a really significant watershed moment for me because I was able to stop and pause and look back at what had just happened. And all of a sudden I had this flood of emails and communication from former students who took the time to say thank you and to wish congratulations. But what it became for me in that moment, it wasn't ultimately about me. It was about the shared collective experience that we ultimately all were able to share in, because ultimately teachers are nothing without the community of students to help and support and to teach and to grow and to learn together.
I am just so proud to be amongst such a wonderful group of educators through the New York State Teacher of the Year program. I still have to pinch myself because I can't believe that I am one of them. And I'm part of this amazing group of professionals that I can draw on their expertise and get their advice. So it really is wonderful to be part of the New York State Teacher of the Year family, but it's also been a dream of mine since I was a little girl to be a teacher, and I can't imagine being anything else.
Who educates and assists our state students, provides medical care and support, and strengthens our communities? We do. NYSUT members are classroom teachers, college faculty and staff, nurses, and healthcare professionals. We're cafeteria workers, bus drivers, teacher aides, and teaching assistants. We're more than 600,000 caring, supportive professionals living and working in communities across New York State. We are NYSUT. We make a difference.
We're going to see a lesson from your classroom. Tell us a little bit about that lesson. What is your objective, and what will we see students doing in the lesson today?
So what you're going to see is a virtual environment. So the students actually enter this virtual environment with an avatar. So every single student in the classroom has an avatar that represents themselves, which in and of itself is kind of an interesting thing to see how the students represent themselves digitally.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
This is would be something that as a student would really motivate me.
Yeah, they get very, very excited when they're doing anything with virtual environments. So the world we created for them to enter is based on the Westing game. It's a novel by Ellen Raskin. So we had just finished reading the novel, and our objective with that was focusing on characterization. There are several characters as part of this novel. So we were getting ready to study for a test, and so I thought the virtual environment would be an interesting way for them to study. So they go into this Westing mansion, and they have a scavenger hunt to complete with their avatar. So they enter, they have a sort of a companion worksheet, and they have a series of questions based on the characters in the novel that they have to answer. And when they answer it, literally type in the answer, it teleports their avatar to another location. Then you'll see a lot of the students in the video clip, they're going to be holding red lenses up to the screen. And the red lens sort of reveals this secret information, which is the line of a poem. So as they go through, they collect all these lines to the poem. And when they solve the poem, which is kind of a riddle, it allows them to type in another answer, and their avatar does what's called a chicken dance on top of the mansion. So through all the way, they're learning, they're reviewing, they're studying the characters, but they're extremely engaged.
Okay, well, let's take a look inside Mrs. Hauer's classroom with this video clip.
Okay, can I have your attention for just a moment? We're going to pause what we're doing for just one moment. Talk about what your expectations are for today. So you're doing a tour. You're doing a tour of the Westing Mansion. As you go along and take your tour, you're going to be finding the Westing dollars that are in the Westing Mansion in different locations. What you're going to need to do is click on those Westing dollars. The Westing dollars will give you clues to the characters that you've read about in the novel. When you know the answer to one of the questions, you do /76, as we talked about, that's your digital channel, and you type in the answer correctly. That means uppercase first letter of the first name, uppercase last letter of the last name. It will then give you that answer. It'll give you that teleport to your location. Let me see everybody hold up their red lens. Everybody has a red lens? Yep. Awesome. Now the red lens is what you're going to use when you get to that teleported location. And as you can see, just like on Nick's screen over here, he's got one of the panels up. You hold the red lens up against the screen. Go ahead and do it, Nick. You hold the red lens up against the screen, and it's going to reveal a riddle line. Those riddle lines are what you write on your sheet. Now here's the thing I didn't tell you yesterday. Once you collect all the riddle lines, read it really, really carefully and see if you can figure out what the riddle's describing. Because if you can type the answer in the final location, you'll do the chicken dance on top of the Westing Mansion. So if you get the answer right, your avatar does the chicken dance. So it'll animate your avatar. So that is your ultimate goal, is to get to the top of the Westing Mansion. Any questions? When you have a question for me, you can either ask me, raise your hand, I'll come over, ask Professor Illuminati, Mr. Wheelock. He also is an expert. He will help you out as well. And Mrs. Beyer is here to assist. So go for it. Let's see who can do the chicken dance. So did you have this correct? All right. So now we have to figure out what's the answer to this riddle. What is this message the riddle is trying to tell you? And that'll give you the magic word.
Wait, so like where's the last box though? That's what I'm looking for.
When you answer, when you use these letters on that box in the fireworks, it should give you your teleport to your last location.
It did. It gave me the teleport up there.
Okay, and then you have to type in the solution, and then you'll do the chicken dance.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to open a Google Chrome browser and research things that maybe you don't know. That's an okay thing to do. I see Daniel's doing it, I see Alice doing it, absolutely.
Sometimes I like to do in this picture is hit button twice just to get out of mouse mode. And then if you hold your Alt Control button down on your keyboard, and click on the sign and now zoom in on it. Use your scroll bar. This is see how you can really zoom right in on the card. Look, and then you see the sign. Oh,
Here we are at the end of class. Let's talk for just 1 second about what we learned, what we accomplished, and what's next. So let's have a seat for a second. So the Westing Mansion was designed to help you review for the Westing test, which we have on Tuesday. So as you went through each character, you had a little riddle type of question that helped you determine who they were. Let's talk about a couple of them. All right, how about Doug Who? What did we learn about Doug Who, Cameron?
Because of his father, he won the Olympic stuff later on.
And what was the clue in the Westing Mansion? What was sitting there?
What was sitting there? Shoes.
A pair of shoes, okay. So we'll talk about the solution on Monday when I see you. So you guys can make sure you save your sheets and go ahead and go to your next class. Yes, red lens is here, please. Save your sheets.
Tell us about anything else that you do outside of school. I know that you help a lot of other teachers with technology, and do you have any other roles in the district that you enjoy, or just something that you enjoy doing with students?
Well, it kind of goes back to technology. I'm excited to say that I just returned from San Antonio, Texas as a speaker at the International Society for Technology and Education conference. And San Antonio was fantastic, but the conference is just this really enriching experience. You know, you're with thousands. I think there were 16,000 people there, 16,000 like-minded educators, you know, just dealing with, you know, virtual environments and headsets, Oculus Rift, and, you know, whatever you can imagine in the future of educational technology is at this conference. And so it was really exciting.
Yeah. We just had another teacher on, Carrie Oliver from North Tonawanda, and she's a STEAM coach in the K through 2 grade levels. At Riverview and Mullen Elementary Schools, and she said she just got back from that conference as well.
That?
And really, she said she really enjoyed it and learned a lot. And so that's like a week. Would you say like a week long, or?
It's 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your topic that you were presenting on?
I presented on photospheres. So if you've ever heard of Google Cardboard, which many people have, I've discovered a way where you can actually create your own photosphere to use in Google Cardboard. I'm very much about customizing, you know, the curriculum that I teach. I really want things, I don't want prepackaged things. I want it to come from kind of an organic place. You know, this is my instruction. This isn't something else that someone told me to teach. So I created a way where you can create your own photosphere, and then it can be viewed through the Google Cardboard. So I took a group of 100 teachers step by step through the process of making your own photosphere and talking about how you can implement that in social studies and in math and in science and in English, whatever the content area.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat. And you've done that over and over again in different forms and on different stages. So tell us about some of the other conferences that you've either presented at, or that teachers that are watching the show might want to consider attending, especially if they're interested in technology.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest one really in New York State is the NISCATE conference. It's the New York State Conference for Applications of Technology in Education. And that's held in Rochester, typically the week before Thanksgiving. And I've presented there for 8 or 9 years, and I'm on the board of that particular one, just kind of helping organize it and run it. And the Michigan conference, and Michigan is really only 5 hours away, so in March they hold a very similar conference, and I presented there on Breakout EDU, as we talked about a little while ago. I presented on that this year. That was in March. Those are the two most, besides ISTE, those are the two most prominent conferences.
Now, the NISCATE conference, when is that typically, and where is it held in the same location every year? Or?
Yep, it's typically at the Rochester Riverside Convention Center, downtown Rochester, and it runs Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving on that week every year.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're looking for an outstanding conference to attend to learn more about technology, that would be the NiceGate conference right before Thanksgiving in Rochester, New York, not too far. So we have some viewers out in Rochester that will probably see this, so it'll be right in their own
Wonderful.
backyard.
Come on down.
So-
And they also hold a maker space, a maker fair. You mentioned you had a guest talking about STEAM and science and technology and engineering and mathematics. They have a maker fair there, and it's really remarkable. It's actually the day before the conference, and that's for children to come to. And you have vendors and exhibitors and students and teachers doing all of those kinds of maker projects, hands-on, whether it's robotics, because the RIT robotics group comes, and you have toothpick towers, people designing and building toothpick towers, 3D printing, and pretty much anything you can imagine in that realm is there at this maker fair. And so that's actually the day before the NiceGate conference, and so a lot of families come down with their kids, and students to exhibit at this fair. So that's really neat as well.
Well, it sounds like something we should definitely check out.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a really interesting learning experience, and I'm always interested in learning new things. So, and I think that's, a lot of teachers, we like to learn new things and we like to try new things, and
We're always learning ourselves, I say. Yeah.
Yes, we are. Well, thank you, Mary, for joining us.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate having you on this edition of Inside the Classroom, and I know our viewers are going to love looking back at your lesson and looking forward to engaging students the way that you do. Thank you.
We get you started early. We stay with you in middle school. We see you through graduation, college, and beyond, realizing potential every step of the way. We're New York State United Teachers, 600,000 professionals dedicated to excellence in public education. But that's not all. We also provide healthcare and human services to New Yorkers of all ages. We're NICET, caring for patients, working for students, working with our communities.
Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NICET, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NICET is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nicet.org.